Hello and welcome to Modern Toy Fair. Today we're going to discuss if Super 7 is on the way out. I am your host, Mr. Modern Toy Fair, and I am joined by the founder of the NEC Illuminati, the delayer of shipments, the procrastinator of pre-orders, my YouTube wife, Mrs. Modern Toy Fair, Jarmar_Games. But that's not all. We are also joined by the man Modern Toy Fair has full custody over. The man Optimus Prime popped and he refuses to stop. The Twilight Knight, the Master of Mac, the three-pump chump of taking the show off the rails, Nate. How you fellas doing?
Oh, you didn't know? I'm not gonna let it die. All right, I'm doing pretty good.
Oh my god.
Hope you guys are enjoying this energy.
I'm here for it. You want to bring this kind of energy every week? Let's do it.
That's a lot.
Your ass better call somebody.
Now we alienated some people who watch this show.
If anything, they've already tuned out. They're like, oh, wrestling references? Click.
Yeah, I'm with you. Please take me with you.
It is too late. No.
Yeah, we got custody of you. You ain't going nowhere.
Oh, I don't like this.
We are going to discuss Super 7 this week because over the past year or so, it seems that they've progressively been slipping up more and more between production issues, once the figures actually eventually come out, obviously the delays. There are a lot of questions around like legalities of some of the lines they're doing, which are causing some of the delays, a lot of rumor. So we're going to kind of go over a little bit of everything and just give our unprofessional opinion about the situation and what we think is potentially going to be the fate of Super 7. Nate is obviously...
Yeah, all opinions expressed here are directly our own and not the responsibility of Warner Brothers, Lucasfilm Limited, Paramount Plus, Nickelodeon,
HBO Max,
HBO. Well, that's part of Warner Brothers.
I thought we were talking about streaming services.
Is Nate getting paid and we aren't? Like, is this a thing? Like,
I got paid this week.
He's getting all these sponsorships, like, with all these other companies that we don't know about.
This take is brought to you by...
Yeah.
He secretly just had their logos hidden throughout his Star Wars wall this entire time.
Yeah. I wish I had some sort of product with me, but...
So it's no secret Nate is not a fan of Super 7. He has made it clear with his comments on the Ninja Turtle line. So
but
your results may vary there.
Before somebody like stops because of that, I want to tell you I was a big fan.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I
absolutely
was a big fan. Big supporter, big cheerleader of what they do. I still am pulling for them. I just have my doubts and my concerns. So you may want to stick around.
All right,
that's
then.
fair. I'm gonna vouch for you just off the back here. I think I want to say you're like the first person who introduced me to Super 7 in a sense, like when you were showing off the Thundercats figures and actually seeing them. I was like, oh, those are pretty cool. But maybe I'm wrong because I think it was actually in the show too.
I said we covered them in the news before.
We did. Maybe covered them in the news, but
I'm pretty sure we also.
You're the only person. Did I have the turtles before?
We got the turtles before.
Am I lying?
Thundercats, I think. Did we not get Leo or Raph before the Thundercats came out?
I'm pretty sure you had your Thundercats before.
It's very possible
because
I don't honestly remember, and in fact, this whole episode is brought to you by Nabisco shredded wheat.
Oh wait, no, because
I thought it was going to be some actual medication for Alzheimer's.
I'm legitimately
cereal
concerned with my memory of this because I know we were late to that line. So
yeah, we had to buy Raph after the fault because we didn't pre-order it. We saw like pictures in person and we bought it after the fact.
And we need to make sure we're going to touch on some of that because.
All right, I'll let you get into it. I was just going to vouch for you today because you were a fan of the Thundercats line. I don't know what happened as of late, but
yeah, I absolutely am still a fan of them as a brand, and I want them to be better.
That's all you can really want for the people you love.
Yeah.
So let's
Yeah.
start with some of the glaring problems, and that is delays. Ever since
Mhm.
the Ultimates line's conception, there's been ongoing problems where you're already waiting a year minimum, and then you get to that year, and the goal line keeps getting moved further and further. And obviously, at first, it was because of the pandemic, so there was some issues there logistically. But then once things kind of started leaving that timeline, it still got worse and worse while other companies were recovering.
Mm.
And
Except for Mezco.
well, we don't talk. We're not going to get into that. That's a whole other episode. Um, and it yes, you just want to stir the pot. I know. And it's kind of hurt them to the point where they've lost not like a major chunk, but a decent amount of people who were invested in the line, but because it's so few and far between that you see a return on your investment for pre-orders, that people just got tired of waiting and moved on. So I guess we'll go around and discuss that first. Like, has that affected our personal relationships with Super 7, as far as, because all of us at one point or another have or currently do collect figure lines from them.
Mm-hmm.
Me personally, I was big on the turtle line because they added those alternate heads that kind of changed it enough to where I could finagle it and customize it enough to make it into a more modern day cool action figure for Ninja Turtles that will probably, well, no, NECA's towing the line, but we'll see. So that was my kind of gateway into it. I bought the Papa Miridus 1 figure. It's currently in a box in the closet just because I don't have anywhere to display it. I didn't pick up the second one because it wasn't like I didn't care about the really cool like music video they did with all the people banging enough to want to have him in his normal gear.
For you, like having one makes sense. Like
Yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
need them all.
Yeah.
Like the differences are not as big for you.
Like when they get to the current one, I'd probably do it because I think he looks a
Right.
little cooler. Or even if they did when the Cardinal,
Right.
I'd do that. But yeah, I don't
Because
need.
it's different.
Yeah, I don't need
Yeah.
the one from the orgy music video, unless it came with all the orgy people. Then maybe that would have got
I mean,
me.
technically, you get the orgy version and the one in the full robes and makeup, but
Yeah,
yeah.
but that was the major
So
like difference.
yeah, yes.
But yeah,
I'll send you a link later.
yeah,
Jamar, don't worry.
it's interesting. It's very interesting. But yeah, so I've sold all of my Super 7 stuff except for Papa Emeritus, and I really haven't had much interest beyond that. I do still have the Party Wagon pre-ordered through Entertainment Earth, but I don't know if I'm going to keep it. Because it didn't cost me anything, so I feel bad that they're going to get stuck with it. But I'm like, at this point, is it going to come out?
Oh my god!
But yeah, so that's where I'm at. I'm out. Like I might, like I said, I might get another Papa Miridus down the road once they do another one that like is different enough that I'm like, ooh, I want that one. But there's not really anything they could do with Turtles to get me back. I'm not a big enough Simpsons fan. The Power Rangers line's kind of iffy in my opinion. So there's nothing to draw me back to them at this point. How about you guys?
Would you like to go?
I'll probably take longer, so go ahead.
Okay. That's fair. So way back when we talked a bunch of trash about the Ultimate line of the Turtles, and they're like, "Oh, it's just the same Turtles," and then we saw that alternate head swap, and was like, "Oh, fuck, okay." So that's when I got in on Super 7. Obviously, didn't really know too much about them outside of that, like, reaction line that I always thought was kind of funny, but yeah, like I would say, like, what happened, because I was pretty much on board for all of the Turtles that they were releasing. Did the not whole first wave, but the first 4 Turtles. Didn't really do much of the side characters. But I was down for the ride to continue getting the Turtles when they show like the Samurai Leo, the Surfer,
Mikey.
Mikey. I was all in, and then slowly but surely I started to just cancel my pre-orders, because I had I think it was Casey Jones that I had pre-ordered as well. That was in one of the waves. Now it's kind of like a dark memory. But I just started slowly just canceling pre-orders, canceling, and a couple of them picked up after like finding them out in the stores. But right now, I'm still holding out hopes for the Dunkin' Don. I always feel weird saying that, because
Dunkin' Donuts, Donnie?
Dunkin' Donuts Donnie. Actually, I would take that. I would
Right?
take
I'd be
that.
here for it.
Um,
Tons of donuts
and
accessories.
then
I'm definitely here for it.
the punker don or punk rod don, whatever the fuck it's called. Those are like the two that I'm like really still highly anticipating. So much so, if you watch this video right here, it was our anticipated Turtles of whatever movie video time. I don't know. It'll be right here. Anyways,
Right
I
here?
was excited. Yeah, right there. Actually, it's always on
Okay.
Nate's screen. I don't know what I was thinking, but yeah. So like, I don't know if it's because of the delays that has dampened my expectations or like my excitement for the line. It may be a mixture of the fact that NECA has really kind of turned it up, in my opinion, as far as like what we're getting with like the Universal monsters and things and such like that. So it's getting harder and harder for me to get excited. I don't know how far you want me to answer this, but I will say, as we were talking about Dunkin' Donut Donnie, there is still a turtle, a Playmate turtle that I have yet been able to get my hands on for a reasonable price, and it is the Sumo Turtles. If we get a Sumo Turtle from Super 7,
Would you pay
I'd be
$80
in on
for
that.
it?
I would say maybe 65.
I'm just thinking by the time they
So
get that far into the line, it's gonna be $80.
it's gonna be
If
made
they
to
get that
order.
far in the line.
They'll send me the 3D printed CAD file, and I have to print it out myself. No, but that's something that could get me excited. And again, the idea of getting these remakes of Playmate Turtles that maybe were important to me or really cool, I love that idea. I don't know. It's just so long and drawn out that it's hard to be excited for it unless it's something that's going to be a really big pop for me. And it has not been a lot of those. You know what I mean?
Fair.
Like the Undercover Turtle, I was like, oh my God, I need this. And then I thought about it. I was like, I don't.
Yeah, I canceled my
So
pre-order
yeah,
that
I
too.
mean, yeah, I guess that answers your question. I don't remember what you asked me.
It was just like where you stand on the line. Like
Yeah, that's
if
right.
if
That's where I stand
pre-orders and
right
everything
now.
has kind of hindered your experience enough to where you're like,
Yeah, my
right.
wallet is like halfway in my pocket for Super 7. So they don't have it on the table
Oh,
anymore.
mine's
Definitely
back
like
on the dresser. It's not even a question.
Well, yeah, that's basically where I'm at.
All right, Nate. Let's see what you
So
got.
my relationship with Super 7 goes back a little further, and it actually goes back quite a bit, all the way back to the original Alien reaction figures that came out that were based on the original Kenner sculpt. So those like figures came out and blew my mind. Like I loved those. They looked amazing on card. They still were really cool loose because they had that Kenner aesthetic. They were a big success. Funko bought into the reaction line. They proceeded to flood the market with a ton of just bullshit.
I
And
didn't
I'm
know
not even
that.
calling all reaction. What they're doing lately, way better. But when they were doing their relationship with Funko, most of that stuff is awful. But then, Super 7 landed a huge coup by being able to continue the Masters of the Universe Classics figure line. So the handoff from Mattel and Matty Collector to Super 7, while not seamless, was decent. There were definitely some different plastic feel, a little bit of a different look there, but for the most part, the aesthetic was there. The figure quality was, for the most part, there with a few hiccups here and there. So I was in on Super 7. They were making stuff that I liked. So then after the success with Masters of the Universe Classics and continuing the Filmation line, I did start to see signs in the Filmation line that I wasn't ready to admit. But some of those latter characters that came out towards the tail end of them being able to have that license were dodgy. Tila having just, I mean, I don't mind it, but Tila has this just massive dump truck because like her legs are not put on the hip pieces properly. And so like it looks like it's amazing, and I'll have to dig it up and show it to you guys because it's awesome. But it's not screen accurate, we'll say. So there was little things like that. She-Ra's face was really oddly painted. But that's okay. I was like, that's all right. I didn't want to admit there was any kind of problem. Then they started the whole Ultimates thing. I ordered the very first 3 Ultimates. I was like almost all in. It was the Toxic Crusader, Toxie, Voltron, and oh shoot, what was the third one? I don't remember now. Oh, Conan, the original comic book Conan, the Barbarian. So I ordered all of those, and it was right around the time that we heard that they were going to be making, He-Man movie figures, and I just couldn't be happier for Super 7. Big supporter, bought it on the Turtle line. That's when the cracks started to appear for me. The quality wasn't consistent. Things like floppy legs, just issues all around with plastic, either brittleness or dumminess, things like that, paint apps. And then I started to kind of like really lose interest in the Turtle line itself. And I want to be careful what I say here, because I don't mean to inflame. I'm really not trying to gaslight people when I say this. But like, to me, they are a little too close to the original figures to be different. What they have been able to do, rather than like say something like Master of the Universe Classics, which originally was a crappier figure, less detailed figure, they were able to bring out detail that was only hinted at in the original figure. Whereas those original Turtle figures are so filled with detail, they made them bigger and painted those details. So yes, absolutely, they're way more, display worthy, and they look better because the paint apps are on all those sculpts. But really look at and compare, the sculpts are not terribly different. And that lost my enthusiasm, because I just didn't want to buy the same thing, only bigger. I also took part in the Snake Mountain sale that they did. So the Masters of the Universe Snake Mountain, I paid, I think, $650 for it. It shipped after like a year and a half. And there was a rough ride on that one. However, like getting it and it being strictly made to order, it felt very special to have. Like, I feel like I'm part of a club. Pardon me.
You didn't have your pinky out when you did that.
No, but should I talk about the filter company? No, we'll just move on. So it's such a cool piece. I feel very lucky to have both that and Castle Grayskull from Classics, because those are two otherwise grail pieces for people. So very lucky. Forgot my point there for a second. So this brings me back around to my final point and where I'm sitting right now, because I am a little salty, and we'll have to fill in some more blanks, I'm sure. But I did this again, I think almost 2 years ago. I think it was around 2 years ago when I took part in the sale of the Thunder Tank for a Thundercats Classics. And I believe it was $450 plus, I think, almost $50 in shipping. So it was like $499. But I did that, and after 2 years, I got the alert that Big Bad Toy Store has them in stock for $499, ready to ship. That I think you can. I don't know if $4 will qualify, but still, it's probably whatever.
Entertainment Earth offered free shipping.
That got retracted
after the fact.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I clicked on the article and it said it was not offered at free shipping and blah blah blah. But that's beside the point.
I think on the original orders it was still offered.
Yeah, maybe. I do know they gave it 10% off.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have any kind of notification on ours. The ones that we've already paid for, and so now every other, like, these other websites have it. It's not something special.
Yeah.
So because in the 2 years now that I've waited for this, I honestly decided I didn't want it. I'm not going to keep it.
Mm-hmm.
But am I even going to be able to sell it for what I paid for it? Like, I'm not looking to make money off of it. I wanted to sell it for what I paid for. But right now, with everything else Super 7 that's currently going on, they're not truly made to order, and they're flooding the market with stuff, and the prices are dropping past retail, which then makes no one want to pre-order them, because one, why should you? You're not going to get it earlier than Big Bad Toy Store. And two, when you can wait 6 months and people are offering them at $35 to $40 for a $55 to $60 figure, and I give it back to you.
I'm not gonna lie, you're 100% right there. Like, it's gotten to a point where the aftermarket, which unfortunately, as much as we hate it, sustains a lot of these lines.
Mhm.
isn't there. And like we talked about a few weeks ago, that in general the aftermarket is down along with just everything, because of the bubble is starting to finally get to that point where it's
Mhm.
popping. And it it's funny that they keep raising prices, because a lot of people, especially after last Christmas, when Big Bad and Entertainment Earth had all these insane sales where you get like the Wave 1 figures of the Ninja Turtle line for like $15. They're like, well, I'll just wait. Like,
Yeah.
who cares? Like,
Right.
and I'm
Right.
like, I don't blame them. Like, I would too. Like, if it's Super 7's to the point where it's not something that, as you mentioned, special enough to where I feel the obligation that I need it right this second anyway, if I were going to get
Mhm.
something. So it's like, yeah, I'll just wait and get a really good deal on it, versus spending $50 on a figure that I don't honestly feel is worth it sometimes. Like,
Right.
I feel like they were right there at the $45 mark, and then they started raising prices, and that also didn't help their case. But
Right.
you did mention the Ninja Turtle line and it being too similar to the OG figures for your liking, which is a great segue into some rumors that had been going around, where allegedly they're having problems with Playmates, who is upset that they are, making their figures just slightly better. And this kind of stems from the idea that with Nickelodeon passing around the license, like, anyone who has a
They
quarter and,
can.
an idea, um, can have it at this point. They, probably had like some sort of thing set in place where Playmates still owns those original sculpts, those original like versions, so that can't be touched. Yet Super 7 like, is just doing highly articulated versions of those with just slight upgrades.
Yeah, I've often wondered what the legality was of that, because I understand that, like, you know, Playmates paid a license fee to be able to get that license, but a lot of those characters were created in house. Now,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
a lot of them worked for Mirage at the time, which further dilutes things. So I don't know if that's where some of it comes from, because
Mm-hmm.
the design belongs to Mirage, but maybe the figure itself belongs to Playmates. I don't know, because none of those. I'm not gonna say none, but I would say 95% of those figures were not in the comics
Yeah.
that were in the original
Oh,
Mirage
yeah.
book. So, how does that break down? And I've often wondered that. And we were starting then to hear some of that
Mm-hmm.
stuff, some of that chatter about that. Um,
Which also
and so,
coincides with all the lines for Turtles getting constantly delayed more and more.
right.
Yeah. I mean, it's more of a shock to me to find that out. Because I've always assumed, like right off the jump, that they kind of had like Playmates' blessing, if you will, of like, yeah, like remake what we did, make it more modern. Um, I I do have to defend Super 7 in a bit, because we're kind of underselling what they've done with some of those figures. Like the Playmate line is amazing. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know why they can't continue to do that, but that was a long time ago. But neither here nor there. What Super 7 has done though has kind of given a lot of those designs a breath of fresh air, new, like, again, like modern expectations of like a figure. Pricing and all that other stuff and quality control, yeah, sure. So we can't just say slightly, because they are a major improvement to the original line, even though they are just a larger version of it. But I I think we're underselling it just a little bit there. So if anyone's like, well, you guys are just shitting on Super 7, they they
Well,
do
I mean, I didn't
they
say
do a
that they
great
aren't
inspiration,
reinventing the
because
wheel. I'm just saying that
sure,
they're
sure,
improving on what was already there, but it's still identical to the original designs to stay true
in
to the
certain
source
cases.
material. If they're not recreating these characters to make them their own.
I
Well, that is the case for some of the figures. I think a lot of the non-turtle figures are
Mm-hmm.
pretty much just like, I don't want to say copy and paste, but import export kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like, again, the two that I'm excited for, the two Donatellos, those just are kind of like, look more like they're inspired by that figure, but they are can totally much more like expressive and like detailed mold that's different from like what we have
and
from
maybe
Playmate.
that's the alternate head, and we'll get
Yeah,
a more boring head, which is fine. Like the alternate heads is cool.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's not my major beef. That's just a thing for me that caused me to lose interest in them. Especially, but the other factor in that easily was the fact that, NECA also is giving a very nice collector friendly line. And ultimately I decided, you know what, the one that already has a whole bunch of figures that I have is going to be the one that I go with, rather than the one that's going to give me maybe 3 waves a year at $55 a piece.
Right.
I'd rather have this one.
Yeah.
So I take umbrage with certain things about it, only just because it didn't meet my needs or my expectations. But it's because it's my opinion. I'm not trying to argue with anybody and say, no, you have to feel the same way I do. I don't give a shit either way. But it's just the way I feel about it.
Yeah.
And so, I guess the natural dependency is to defend the thing you like and the thing that you love. But I love Ninja Turtles. I kind of lost interest in these.
Just to clarify, I'm just more so saying when we're saying they're just slightly improved models, it kind of seems like, again, like a little bit like underselling what they're actually doing.
Go ahead.
I get it.
Fantastic, and the accessories and the overall presentation, yes, 100%. These are high quality.
Gobbling this down when they first released those.
Rocksteady and Bebop stand they're impressive, pieces of plastic. They look great. They display great. They move great. They pose well in certain aspects. But again, to me, the designs were the same. Where they're not. We're in a different kind of figure, like He-Man and Thundercats, whereas those figures are quite a bit different from the original. The vintage were designed, but again, those figures were shittier to begin with than the Playmates turtle figures. So that really
inspiration.
Yeah, that may be part of it. Again, I'm not trying to say this to be inflammatory, but that's just where I began to lose interest. But the other part of where I began to lose interest was the delays, which I understand they're going to happen. But when we did start getting stuff, just things weren't looking right. And so I point to like the movie Conan figures when they were delivered in hand. I was like, these don't look great. Like, they're not what I expected. They especially the quality that I saw during the Masters of the Universe days, as far as the look. Again, on some things not so much. But I would be happy to provide examples of really great looking Super 7 figures. But I started to just notice this deterioration in quality, and it really came to a head when, and I think this can hopefully segue back to you, Michael, but when we saw the first kind of like test shots and sculpts of the Silverhawks line. And it was like, oh my God, these look awful. And there's no way these are worth $55, for a retail price.
Which there's rumors going around about those as well, that there's issues with the license and if they'll be able to move forward. So
right. So for those who don't know, they claimed at one point to own the actual they owned Silverhawks. They actually started licensing out it itself to other companies. In fact, while they were going to make these in cartoon inspired Ultimates, is what they were planning on doing, this other company, a higher end company that made smaller figures, almost like import style, but I think it was an American company. I can't totally be sure. Either write it in the comments or whatever. But they were creating more of a Kenner styled version of the Silverhawks. And apparently at some point somebody went, you can't do that. You don't own Silverhawks. And so what they thought that they had, they may not have. And those figures now are delayed, I think, over 2 years. The first wave now is way over 2 years, because I think I had up through wave 4 on pre-order. And that was before I had my big, come to Stan Lee moment and decided that maybe I should like step back from some of those. I'm not a religious man, so I have to where,
I didn't know what you meant at first.
It took me a second too. I'm just like,
yeah,
there you go. Okay,
yeah. You can put George Lucas, whatever you want to do.
I wouldn't put George Lucas now.
I mean, I wouldn't, but I mean, whatever. It's fine. But Yeah, like so those are super late, and I mean they're all in question now because we haven't even seen the first series. And GI Joe is also, I think, at this point now 2 years late, even though we got a figure from San Diego had their exclusive like glow in the dark bat or something like that, which is supposed to be in the first wave a bat. But now I'm hearing that the first wave that's even going to be able to hit stores is wave 2. Like wave 1 is still delayed.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're talking. I mean, that was July, so we're coming up on 8 months of when that figure was available. Let alone the fact that I think the pre-order was 2 years prior. It was definitely in 2021 at some point in there, and then just plus the fact that I mean the Transformers line. I think only the first wave has come out. I don't know that the second wave has come out, but those seem to be kind of DOA. I'm not really sure like who they I mean, I guess they're for fans of the cartoon, but they also are going too widespread, which is weird for non-transforming Transformers, which is fine. They're very cartoon stylized, but they're making figures of characters that weren't in cartoons, and it's just all over the place. And these massive, things that they're doing for Hasbro, I guess I don't understand. Why are they making Power Ranger figures when Hasbro is already making Power Ranger?
Yeah.
I get it, one 7-inch, one 6-inch, but the 7-inch ones, which you would think would be better, are not. I mean, if anybody can tell me that Green Ranger figure is better than even the original Green Ranger that Hasbro put out for the Lightning collection, I'm gonna have to call your bluff. Like, there's no way.
Yeah.
There's been complaints of Hasbro's head sculpt, but that Tommy head sculpt in that package is way better than
all
what
the head
Super
sculpts in that
7's
line are terrible. We saw a couple of them when we were at that toy show a
Yeah.
week ago, and they were really bad. Like,
Yeah.
the figures themselves didn't look great, but the head sculpts especially were bad. And you mentioned like the Transformers line, they're just making characters that don't make sense. They're doing the same thing with like the Simpsons line. They're not doing your standard, like, you don't even have normal versions of the main cast yet, and they're like doing fucking Mo, who was supposed to come with his apron in that and didn't, and now they ship everyone aprons.
Yeah.
And they just announced another line of it where you get like fat Homer, like fatter Homer, I guess, because he's already fat.
Yeah, the Moo Homer. Yeah.
And like all of this stuff, and it's
And
just
which is awesome if you're a Simpsons fan, but if you're a diehard Simpsons fan, you are on the downward slope to 50. And let's just be honest here.
Real, okay.
Did you just call yourself out? I'm confused.
Yeah. Yes.
That's fair. That's okay though. That's okay.
There are very few diehard Simpsons fans under the age of 35. Well, I'm just going to be 100% honest.
Logistically, that makes sense.
Yes.
Like,
so, and I'm saying for the most part, they're making that slide. It's literally gonna be years before we make like
I get where you're going.
And I'm like, they're not gonna be here. They're not gonna be here. The show will still be on, inexplicably, because all the voices will be done in AI, and they can just make that show forever.
Oh yeah,
and there's no reason not to. Fine, but and that was what's crazy because we talked a little bit. I mean, that first wave just came out, right?
And people were loving.
And I was at I was at a toy show like the weekend after they came out. Not this past weekend, but the weekend before, the one I forgot to invite you guys to, but you wouldn't have liked it anyway. There were people selling them for $40.
Wow.
It doesn't surprise me.
Like,
sounds like to me, this is the perfect way to get like some Simpson character.
Yeah,
it's just wait.
Yeah.
I think the thing like with a lot of these lines, and I maybe this is where I become apologetic for them, is that the way I collect Super 7 is not the same way I would collect anything else. And that could be because of like the random ass delays and random ass releases and what wave comes out or whatnot. I would almost rather them go this route of just making more like iconic things in those lines as opposed to like trying to hit every character, like the Simpsons making like don't they have like the spacesuit Homer? To me, that's like a thing that I would remember. Or again, I'm going back to the turtle figures that I like, but like picking things that are like cool in those lines or in those properties that aren't like necessarily represented. Like what's the beer dude from the Simpsons? What's it? The
Duffman.
Yeah.
Yeah, Duffman. That would be cool. That'd legitimately be cool. Like I thought of like something like that. That would be neat. I get it. You want to have like at least the
Isn't
main.
Duffman in the first wave?
It
I
is.
thought he was.
Oh,
I
shit.
think
Well,
he is. Yeah.
apparently I don't pay attention in this wave, but that's a good idea though. That's to me.
Yeah.
If I was like a casual fan, that would be something that would interest me. So I don't know if they are trying to get you to buy the entire wave or they're trying to get you just to get. If we can get one person who really isn't in collecting to buy one thing, we can reach a bigger audience.
But
Maybe that's their understanding. I'm just trying to throw that
because
out there.
realistically, like think about it. Let's flip it to something you actually collect. Let's say, there's a new company doing turtles, and they're gonna do a version of the turtles that you really like. Let's say they're gonna do Rise figures.
Okay.
And they're gonna be really like higher, like mid-tier, like retail, but higher end retail figures. So they're affordable, but they're gonna be good figures. The first wave, you get one turtle and nothing but side characters who had maybe one episode appearances.
Oh yeah, trust me, I hate that. I hate that idea.
Mm-hmm.
But now that we've gotten the 4 turtles out the way, I'm now just dipping back into the line for things that I want versus like trying to complete like a set of something.
That's not a sustainable business model then, which also is probably hurting them. Is
That's fair.
You went from having people consecutively buying these to now.
But I never bought an entire
like
wave regardless.
Mm-hmm.
I never bought an entire wave, so you're only going to get the turtle from me regardless. So
yeah.
maybe it's a bad example, but like I could see. I guess I was trying to look more like future of like what can help sustain the company. And if we're just throwing like
consistency of your fucking product, that will sustain the company.
Yeah, consistency, but also like for a line that's this expensive, I don't know if trying to get someone to buy in for a whole wave is like a great approach because I guess it balances out because of their inconsistency. So like, of course I'm not going to buy a whole wave because I don't want to get invested to those lines because I don't know when I'm going to get anything. So
yeah, when or if at this point.
I tried.
Yeah, because it is it's a growing concern because the writing on the wall says that these rumors have some validity behind them because things keep getting delayed while other things don't. Mm-hmm. So the things that have the rumors about them are all things that are piling up. Versus you have Simpsons, which I feel like wasn't even like announced that super long ago.
I don't think it was. And
so,
I will say that both the Ghost figures came right on time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now I ordered mine through Big Bad Toy Store and I got them way early.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another thing. If you're gonna fucking do direct pre-orders, which is the thing that probably keeps the lights on, don't give the money to or give the product to Big Bad Toy Store before you give it to the people who actually order from you, because you're gonna have less people pre-order from you then to pre-order from Big Bad.
I think that's what's happening, and I think Big Bad is fronting the bill for most of this stuff,
which is probably
or
true
at least
too.
a lot of it. And
but if you have the product, then fucking do both. Be like, okay, this pallet is for the 10 people who actually did pre-order from us still, and the rest of them are for Big Bad. Like, it's not that difficult. Like,
well, Big Bad might want to get theirs out first in a weird way of like
of actually doing that for once.
Yeah.
I'll just say this, and I'll be done. But I am an initial supporter. I'm pulling for them. I like the idea of what they do. I think they overextended themselves. I think that they need to calm it down. Honestly, I think they need to ditch these Hasbro licenses. I don't think that's helping. And
there's too many better options out there.
Yes, and focus your energy on creating just the best possible product. I'm also going to make a bold statement because like their last straw with me is Godzilla.
Oh my
so
god!
They have announced several waves of Godzilla with monsters. I don't think we'll get them, is what I'll say.
Oh, it hurts my soul because they looked so good in the
it hurt me to say
prototypes.
And I hope I'm wrong. I hope in 3 years when we finally get wave 2 first, before wave 3, which will then get wave 1. But I hope that somebody comes back and watches this video and goes, haha, you were wrong, you idiot. I hope that happens. But my
we'll do a
gut
video where
tells
I will
me,
do that for them.
yes, my gut tells me
At least until October 2023, which is the supposed release for
yeah.
Bunker Dawn. Like, let's make it there at least. But
Okay,
we'll
so Nate doesn't think we're going to get the Godzilla figures, which is a great segue into the final question before we close out. Do you think 5 years from now, Super 7 is still around?
see.
Or at least the Ultimates line is still around? Because they may still be able to do reaction figures because they pump those out easier. But do we think the Ultimates line is still around?
Well, I'll make mine short and simple. The reason why I believe it, and I'm just throwing this out here because I don't know anything about their business and how they make money, but I'm gonna assume they make a decent amount of money on these overpriced reactions.
Oh.
Yeah, no, the reaction line to kind of like slowly pull along the Ultimate line, so where maybe the Ultimate line isn't really super profitable from them, but it's still like we're like almost even at this point. So 5 years, I could see them still being around, with some caveats if they change a few different things. But yeah, I'm only saying that because fuck, 2019 was like my first introduction really to Super 7, so I don't want them to go away that fast. So.
So to answer your question, do I think they'll be around in 5 years? I hope so. That's my answer. I hope so. I really do.
Ooh,
for all my negativity
grim.
and bitching, I really do. I hope
that's like him being positive,
right?
But things are definitely going to have to change. But I hope Super 7 is still around.
Yeah.
I think the company will be around. I think they will stop announcing new figures for the Ultimates line, but still have not shipped a lot of them.
In 5 years?
Yes.
What? When do they stop announcing them?
Well, I think in 5 years they will stop announcing new figures and kind of phase out the line, but still owe people a lot of figures, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Like the backlog will be that much that even if they stop taking new orders on new product, they'll still have a library of stuff that people still haven't gotten. And if they manage to get through that, they'll probably focus on either slimming down the Ultimates line or just on reaction and other stuff. Because it doesn't seem like it's sustaining anything for them. It just seems like it's a lot of headaches and not a lot of victories.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think for sure we'll ever see another large thing again, like the Turtle Van or the tank.
That's a pretty safe bet. It's a safe bet.
Because I guarantee no one's going to fucking buy it at this point because there's no return on. By the time 3 years pass and you've decided you don't want it anymore, you're not going to get your money back anyway because no one else wants it either. But let us know in the comments below. Where is your stance? Yeah. Are you still on board with Super 7? Have you hated them since the beginning? Or you don't care? You're just here because you love our wonderful faces? We'd love to know. Also, as always, if you enjoyed this video and actually made it this far, please make sure to like and subscribe. It helps us out here on the channel and gets you a bunch of toy-related content. We've got the reviews on Mondays, Let's Pose on Tuesdays, live stream on Wednesdays, and the podcast on Fridays. Also, you can join us over on patreon.com/Modern Toy Fair if you'd like a little extra. We have several tiers available where you can get anything from suggesting fake podcasts for Nate to end the show with, to getting physical prints of the photos I take for the reviews, or even being a guest on the OnlyFigs live stream for the last Wednesday of the month. So again, link will be in the description below or is up on your screen right now. If you can't or don't want to, we appreciate it either way. Just continue watching the show. If you could give us a share, that'd be great too. But we appreciate all the support everyone gives us no matter what. Check us out Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. I almost forgot what the third one was, at Modern Toy Fair. You can check Jarmar out over on metal.tv/Jarmar Games. Nate, what do you got for us this week?
Well, am I starting my first one?
If you want to.
I do.
On the thing, does say that it is not guaranteed it will get picked. So it's up to you.
Yeah. No, I got one. I love it.
And make sure to shout out who posted it.
What? I don't know.
Oh no!
It's all the same person, so it's not like you have to choose.
Oh, that's true.
But his name is too good to not make you. He did it to make you say it on air.
Is that what? Where are you from? Where are you from, Sukma? It's interesting.
What?
So what's the podcast, Nate?
What's that? Oh, it is Behind the Wendy's Dumpster. It's a little bit of a sister show to Toy Therapy, where we break down. It's more like Toy Therapy After Dark, but instead it's Behind the Wendy's Dumpster, where we talk to different toy collectors about the unspeakable acts they've performed in order to procure that holy grail item. How far will they go? They tell us in vivid detail.
Wonderful. And if you want your suggestion and your shout out, make sure to join us, patreon.com/Modern Toy Fair. But that's it for this episode. Hopefully see you next week. Same toy time, same Toy Fair channel. Thank you for watching.
Ook ma tante.